Welcome to the Explainer. So, have you ever thought about how a single, ancient letter could be a key to unlocking some of the Bible's deepest secrets? Well, according to our source, a researcher known as Uncle John, this one symbol connects everything from basic grammar to the very name of God, and maybe even some logos you see every single day.
Okay, so here's the game plan. First, we're going to meet the letter Vav and get its basic profile. Then we'll dive into its main job as a connector. After that, we'll see how it's literally written into God's name, uncover some of its wild scriptural superpowers, and then, we're going to look at a modern conspiracy theory that's tied right back to this ancient letter.
All right, first things first, let's just meet the letter Vav. Now, the whole idea from our source, Uncle John, is that every Hebrew letter isn't just a sound. Nope. It's also a picture, it's a number, and it's a concept, all rolled into one. And Vav is a perfect example of this.
Okay, so you really got to get these three things down about Vav, because they're the building blocks for everything else. First, its picture is a nail, or maybe a hook. Second, its number is 6. Biblically, that's the number of man, right? Created on the 6th day. And third, its meaning, its whole job is to connect things. It can also stand for an upright man. So just remember that, the nail, the number 6, and the connecting man. Got it? Good.
So let's build on that foundation. The most common thing Vav does is just connect stuff. But as you're about to see, this simple idea of connecting grows from just a piece of grammar into a concept that is, well, it's massive.
In Hebrew, if you want to say "and," it's super simple. You just stick a Vav on the front of a word. Uncle John uses this great dinner example. You've got meatloaf and mashed potatoes and green beans. That "and" is the Vav, just connecting all the food on your plate. Easy enough, right? But this is where that simple little "and" suddenly gets a massive promotion. We're talking the very first sentence of the entire Bible, Genesis 1:1. It's the Vav that serves as the "and" connecting the heavens and the earth. It's the grammatical glue holding the two sides of creation together.
And this brings us to the next layer, which is a big one. Our source, Uncle John, draws this really powerful conclusion. He says, look, if Vav means "and," but it also means an upright man, then what are we really looking at here? Theologically, Vav becomes a picture of Yeshua, or Jesus, the ultimate connection, the bridge between the spiritual world of the heavens and our physical world of the earth.
So Vav connects all of creation, but its importance goes even deeper than that. It's also sitting right in the middle of the most sacred name in the entire Hebrew Bible.
Now check this out. The interpretation from Uncle John's research reads, God's name, Yud, He, Vav, He, not just as letters, but as a sentence made of pictures. Yud is a hand. He means behold or to reveal something. And Vav, well, we know Vav is the nail. So you can literally read the name as the hand reveals, the nail reveals. He argues it's a direct reference to the crucifixion, hidden in plain sight within the name of God.
And then there's this other connection that's just, wow. So the Hebrew word for fire is ish. Now look at the words for man, ish, and woman, isha. To make them, you add the letters Yud and He right into the middle of the word for fire. And what do those two letters, Yud and He, spell when they're together? Yah, a name for God. It's like the divine signature is literally inserted into the words for humanity.
Okay, so beyond just its meaning, Vav has some, let's call them superpowers in biblical Hebrew. And our source points to these as possible evidence of a much deeper intentional design in the way the Bible was written.
This is one of the weirdest and coolest things about Vav. It can actually flip the tense of a verb. Uncle John points to Genesis where God says, be light. That's yehi or. But the very next phrase is, and light was, vayehi or. You see that? Just by adding that Vav, the tense flips from the present to the past. It's like a time-traveling letter. Now this next one is a little more subtle, but when you see it, it's pretty mind-blowing. The Hebrew word for generations is toldot. Before the fall of man in Genesis, the word is spelled with 2 Vavs, 2 upright men. But after sin enters the picture, from that moment on, the word is spelled with a missing Vav. It's as if an upright man has been removed from humanity's story. And he notes that second Vav doesn't come back until the messianic line in the book of Ruth.
And here's another crazy specific detail. This is a verse from the book of Numbers. God is making a covenant of peace right after a pretty violent act. But the word for peace, shalom, is written in a very, very strange way in the original Torah scrolls.
See, the letter Vav right in the middle of the word shalom, it's physically broken. It's written in 2 pieces. And the interpretation here is that the broken nail or broken man in the middle of the word for peace is a symbol. It's showing us that this wasn't some gentle, easy peace. It was a peace that came at a huge, violent cost.
All right, everybody, buckle up, because this is where we take a sharp turn from ancient texts into our modern world. And this is the most speculative part of Uncle John's research, where he suggests there's a controversial link between the letter Vav and, yeah, the number of the beast.
So he asks us to think about a pretty provocative question. Is it possible that this ancient symbolism of Vav is still being used today, whether people know it or not, in the logos and systems all around us?
Now, the logic he presents is actually pretty simple. Remember how the numerical value of Vav is 6? Well, if you put 3 of them side by side, Vav, 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 you could read that as 666, the infamous number from the book of Revelation.
And he gives a few examples you've probably seen 1,000 times. First, he points to the logo on Monster Energy drinks. He says, don't see an M, see 3 separate Hebrew Vavs. Second, the www at the start of every website. Since Vav can make a W sound, that could be Vav, Vav, Vav. And finally, the universal barcode. The 3 long separator lines at the beginning, middle, and end. Those are the computer code for the number 6.
Our source connects these modern symbols right back to this famous verse. And he points out that the verse doesn't just give you the number. It tells the wise to calculate the number. He suggests that means it might be hidden in a code or a pattern, not just written out for everyone to see.
So, what do we do with all this? According to Uncle John's deep dive, one simple letter connects grammar, theology, prophecy, and even modern branding. Now, whether you see this as divine design or just a really fascinating case of our brains being great at finding patterns, the journey of the letter Vav definitely reminds us that sometimes the biggest ideas are hiding in the smallest symbols. The only question is, what are you going to see the next time you look?